So yes, so in the last class, we have already started with our course, which is on computer organization, and we have discussed what are the objective of this computer organization, and even we have discussed like uh, what are the contents of our module 1 and which book shall be referred. So in the previous class, we have started with basic structures of computers, and we have defined what is a computer. Okay, so computer is a sophisticated electronic calculating machine that accepts some input, okay, then process that particular information according to the list of instructions which are stored, okay, and then produces some output, the resulting output, right? So that we have already discussed. Then we have discussed about what are the functions. So nothing but accepting some information from the input, processed as an input, uh, then store a list of instructions to process the information, then processing the information according to the list of instructions and providing the result of the processing as a output. So input, your process, and the output. So even we have discussed about the types of computer based on the size, cost, computational power, and the use of that. So we have discussed about like what are personal computer, notebook computers, workstations, right? Then enterprise systems and supercomputers. Then we have talked about the functional units of the computer. So there are five functional units what we have talked about, right? So this particular functional units we are talked about. So first one is the input unit. So we know that the input unit is going to accept this particular information, okay, either from human operators like or electromechanical devices like the keyboards what we have, or other computers or from other computers. So they are accepting the information. Then we know that we have arithmetic logic unit, okay. So arithmetic and logic unit, ALU, we have, which is going to perform the desired operation on the input information, okay, as determined by the instructions in the memory. Okay, so whatever the instructions you are written in the memory, based on that it is going to perform some operation on the particular data, what the input information what we have. Okay, then the output is something, output unit sends the result of processing. So whatever processing has done on this particular data, what result we are getting, that will be output by either by like a monitor display or a printer. So that can be the output devices. Okay, then there is a control unit which is going to control all this three things. Okay, all this input, output, and processing. So control unit coordinates the various actions. So there will be the coordination between all these three actions. Okay, so sometimes it will take to take the input, then sometime it will take to process, and then sometime to display the output, right? So that coordination will be done by control unit. So together this arithmetic logic unit and control unit we are calling as a processor. Okay, and then we have a memory. The fifth one is the memory, which is going to store the information, which is going to store the information in the form of instructions or data, in the form of instructions and data. That is what we have seen. Someone again is joining. Just let me. Should join on a time so that it will not disturb. Okay. So it is like an interrupt. So that is what today we are going to discuss. So then we have discussed about the information in a computer. So it can be the instructions. Okay. So instructions we have discussed. Then we have discussed about the data. Okay. So data are the operands upon which the instructions operate. Right. So data can be in the form of number or encoded character. So data is a broad sense means a digital information we have. Okay. So computers use the data that encoded as a string of binary digits called bits. So the data will be in the bits, binary digits. So the first one we have discussed already, input unit. So it is nothing but the binary information must be presented to the computer in a specific format. Okay. So what task the input unit is going to perform is interfaces with the input devices, accept the binary information from the input devices, present this information in the format expected by the computer, and then transfer this information either to the memory or to the processor. Okay. Then we have talked about the memory unit, so which is going to store our data and store our instructions, right? So memory unit store the instructions and data. So data is represented as a series of bits, and to store the data, memory units does store the bits. So data will be stored in your memory as a bits 1, 0, 0, something like this. Okay. Then the processor reads the instructions and read write the data from or to the memory during the execution of the program. Okay. So the instructions and data could be fetched one bit at a time. Okay. In practice, the group of bits will be fetched. So basically what we have already discussed in previous classes, this is the memory where we have our data, and this is our processor. So from memory to processor, data will be fetched or the instructions will be fetched. It will get processed and the result will again go back to the memory, like that we have discussed. Okay. So the group of bits stored or retrieved at a time is termed as word. Okay. So the number of bits in a word is termed as word length of a computer. Okay. So in order to read write and from memory, a processor should know where to look. So that's why addresses are given. So in the memory, our data will be stored at a particular address. So we have discussed yesterday, right? As you have your home address, if I want to come someone's home, so what you will give me? Your address. So I will reach to your address. Yes or no? The same way, the data will be stored in the memory. So which data we want? So we'll look at that particular address where our data is stored. Okay. Then memory unit, there are different memories available, right? So the fastest and the smallest units is a cache we discussed. Okay. Then slowest and the largest is the main memory. So all this already we have discussed in the previous class. Okay. So then arithmetic logic unit. So operations are executed in the arithmetic logic unit. So arithmetic logic unit operates such as operations such as addition, subtraction, or logical operations such as comparison and or will be performed. Okay. In order to execute an instruction, operands need to be brought into the ALU from the memory. That's what we have said. The data or the operands will be in the memory and you need to take that from the memory. Okay. Operands are stored in general purpose registers available in the ALU. So there will be general purpose registers which will be holding our operands. Okay, so that registers we are going to discuss today. Sorry. So the access time of a general purpose registers are faster than the cache. So we said previously the cache is the fastest one, but even the registers are more faster. So the data in the register will be very faster access to your ALU. Okay, or the processor. So the result of the operations are stored back to the memory or retained in the processor for immediate use. So that's what we said. Once it is processed, again you can store that back to the memory location. Okay. Then output unit. So computers represent the information in a specific binary form, right? But you cannot understand that 1, 0. So the output unit, so it will interface with the output devices, accept the process result provided by the computer in a specific binary form, convert that information from the binary form to understood by the output devices in the form understood by the output devices. So like printer, graphics displays, speakers. So it will convert that in that particular form. Okay. Then the control unit, we know that control unit will coordinate with all the operations. Okay. So operations of a computer can be summarized as accept the information input, store the information in the memory, process in the ALU, and provide process results through the output unit. Okay. So the operations in the input unit, memory, ALU, and the output unit are coordinated by the control unit and by generating timing signals, So that also we have discussed in the previous class, and even we have discussed some questions based on what we have already discussed in the previous class. Okay. So in today's class, we'll start with basic operational concepts. Okay. So how this operations takes place. So the flow of this operations like as activity in a computer is governed by instructions. Okay, so you are writing some instructions, based on that only the operations are happening in the computer. Okay, so to perform a task, an appropriate program consisting of list of instructions is stored in the memory. So perform that task, obviously the program consisting of list of instruction is stored in the memory. So you have the program, what you have to do, that is written in the form of instructions into the computer. Okay, so individual instructions are brought from the memory into the processor, because where you have stored that instruction in the memory, right? So you have to get the instructions from the memory to the processor, okay, which executes the specific operations, So data to be used as operands are also stored in the memory, Understood? So what we have, this is our memory. So you will be having your instructions and data will be stored at the memory, and this memories will be having the addresses. Like in simple word, if I say it is address 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that. Okay, and you need to take that to your CPU or ALU, okay, or the processor, what you are saying. So you have to take this data or the instructions from this memory to this. Understood? Okay, so a typical instruction, if we say typical instructions in the assembly language, it is add location comma R0. LOCA is standing for location. So that is what memory location we are saying. Okay. So add location comma R0. Now what this instruction will do, we'll see. So add the operands at a memory location to the operand in a register R0 in the processor. Okay. So add the content of this two. So this is the location in the memory, and this is a register R0, what we said. The registers are faster than the cache. Okay. So your processor will have some registers. So this will be holding some data. This memory location will be holding some data. Okay. So this will add this two data. Understood? So add the operand at a memory location to the operand in the register R0 in the processor. So what this will be holding, we are calling as an operand. So on which we are operating. Okay, so that is the data. So and place the sum into the register R0. Once it will add the content of this to where it is going to store that again to R0. That's what we said, right? Take the information from the memory, okay, process it, and whatever the result we are getting, again stored back to the memory location. Yes or no? So, but here it is storing into R0. Okay, obviously, if you have done something and result, you have to store that somewhere. So, it is storing that result into R0. So, simply what you can say, add some memory location, comma, you are having R0, right? So, in this memory location, if I say it is 10 and the R0 is holding 20. So, what will be the result? 10 plus 20, simply if I am saying it is 30. Now you just consider in a decimal way. Okay, not actually the data will be in hexadecimal here. Okay, so here we are saying it is in a decimal way. So 10 plus 20 is a 30 will be our result. So where we are storing the result? In 20, yes or in R0, yes or no? So but in R0, previously what was the content? 20, but now the result is stored into R0, so it is overwritten. So the result, whatever the previous content of R0 are got lost. Understood? So see here, the original content of location are preserved. So because whatever the previous content of location was 10, so it is as it is, right? The original content of R0 is overwrite. So whatever the previous content was 20 in R0, but when we are done the addition, now what is the new content in the R0 is 30. So that is overwritten. Understood? So what this particular instruction is going to do is, whatever the content at this location will get added with the content at R0, and the result will be stored into R0. Understood? So the instruction is fetched from the memory into the processor. The operand at the location is fetched and added to the content of R0. The resulting sum is stored in the register R0. The resulting sum is stored into R0. Are you getting this? Just let me know in the chat box. Are you getting this or no? Are you with me? Yeah, few of yes, sir. So you're getting, right? Okay, okay. That's enough. That's enough. Thank you. So let's continue. Okay. So understood. This is the simple instruction what we are talking about. Okay. This is the simple instruction what we are talking about, right? So add location. So that particular memory location, if I am saying that particular memory location is having this 10, okay, and the register itself in your uh, processor or the CPU, this particular R0 is already having 20, okay. So it will take this from the memory location 10, it will add this 20 and 10, and the result will be stored into R0. So R0, the value will get changed. So that is a typical instructions what we are talking about. So this instruction is called as, like, this is in the assembly language. So in the previous you have studied like C programming, yes or no? So to add this some values, you can write a C program also for this. If you want to add this and this, so you will say x1, x2, input the value of x1, input the value of x2, and then add x1 plus x2, like that, yes or no? So the same with this, this is the assembly language it is written. So separate memory access and ALU operations. So the another form of operations are separate memory access, okay, and ALU operations. So here we'll discuss about this. So here, see, the first instruction is load. So that is the memory access instruction, LOAD. LOAD means load. Load the content of this location into R1, okay. So this will be some memory location. So the memory location can be 0x30. That is a memory location. I'm writing this in hex. So that's why it is 0x30, okay. Sorry. So whatever the content at this memory location will be stored into R1, okay. So if I say here the content of memory location is 30, okay, or you can say it is 20, whatever, okay. So this will be loaded into R1. So R1 register will have 20 now, okay, and then add R1 comma R0, R1 comma R0, and the result will be stored in what? R0. Result will be stored in R0, okay. So this how we will write the instructions, okay. So this is the destination always, the result destination. So this content is stored here, add, and this is the destination. Now whose content will be overwritten? Whose content is going to overwritten here? What do you think? Can you answer? Whose content will remain same and whose content will overwritten? R0 content will be overwritten. Correct, correct. Good, good. That's good. Okay, okay, that you are with me. So, okay, that's what. So, see. So what will do the first instruction? First instruction will transfer the content of memory location onto R1. Okay, so this is what is the memory location we are saying, and this content get transferred to R1 register. Okay, register is nothing but a particular like you will be studying what basically registers are, nothing but holding our data. Okay, so holding our data. So the second instruction, this instructions add the content of R1 and R0, right? Add R1 comma R0, it will do add, and place the sum into what? R0, place the sum into R0. So this destroy former content of R1 as well as those of R0, correct? Here what is happening? Both the content, you said R0 will be, the content will be overwritten for this instructions only. But for this instructions also what is happening? Whatever this was having, it is gone into R1, yes or no? So if I say previously R1 was having 10 here, previously R1 was having 10, okay? But now this instruction will load whatever the content of this memory location into R1. So this is also gone, this 10 is also gone because the new value is 20. So if we consider both the instructions, this R1 also will be overwritten and R0 will be overwritten. Okay. Previously you answered the question, that is was also correct because we talked only about the second instruction. Okay. So in the first instruction, R1 content is also getting overwritten. Okay. Contents of location are preserved. So whatever the previously it was 30, it is same. Okay. So the transfer between the memory and the processor are started by sending the memory location address to be accessed to the memory unit and issuing the appropriate control signal. Okay, so transferred between the memory and processor are started by sending some memory location address to be accessed. So first you need to send the memory location, because you have the memory like this and you have so many locations in this memory. So from where you have to access? So you need to first tell what memory location I want to access. So that's why memory location address. Okay. So that you need to issue, and according to that the control signals will be given, and from that memory location you can access. Understood? So the data is then transferred to or from the memory. Okay, data will be transferred to either, because we are, if I say here, say R0 the value, I can say move R0 comma some location. Sorry. Just forget about this. I say move R0 comma location. Okay, so what is happening? If I write this command after this, so it will move the content of R0 to the memory location. Okay, so this R0 will be again stored here somewhere to the particular memory location. Okay, so that is from either we can read from the memory or we can store something into the memory. Understood? So this move is another instruction. Okay. So let's see how it is. So as we know that our processor will have only the ALU, okay, and the control unit and some registers, ALU, control unit, and some registers. Memory will be outside. Memory will be separately located. Okay. So the connections between the processor and the memory, how they are connected now. So as previously we have seen only the blocks, but how they are connected, that we need to discuss. Okay. So what our processor is having, what our processor is having, only control, ALU, and some registers. These all are registers. Okay. This R0 to Rn minus 1 are general purpose register, n number of general purpose registers. Okay. See, we are talking about a generalized processor. There can be different processor or different processors are available. Okay. But we are talking about a generalized processor. So how actually a processor will be there. Okay. So what are the different registers we have? This IR stands for instruction register. Okay. Then PC stands for program counter. So these all are registers. Okay. Program counter. So there is a length to this register also. The registers can be 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit, 64-bit. Okay. So it depends on the processor. Okay. So just now we are talking about a general processor. So that's why we are not focusing on whether it is storing 8-bit of data, 16-bit of data, or 32-bit of data, like that. Okay. So this is a program counter. Then general purpose registers R0 to Rn minus 1. Okay. So just now what we have talked in the instructions, like this is R0 or R1. So that is this general purpose registers. And what we said, they are more faster because they are closer to our ALU. Yes or no? To travel this much of distance, less time is required. Now, whatever we have in the memory, we need to travel this much. Yes or no? In general, I am saying in the processor, in the chip, the same way it is. These are more faster because they are located near. Okay. So general purpose registers. Then we have this MAR. MAR is memory address register. Okay. What previous slide we said, first the processor need to tell which address. So who is gonna tell? This memory address register is gonna tell which address. So that's why it is in only one direction. Yes or no? From processor to memory. So it will tell which memory I need to access, which address I need to access. So only one direction. Yes or no? Then memory data register. So memory data register. So once you told which address, so either it can take some data from this, okay, or write some data into the memory. So both the way. Okay, understood? Both the way. You can write onto the memory or you can read from the memory. Clear? Then you have control unit. Okay, then you have a control unit which is also in both the directions, which can be controlled. Understood? So PC is program counter, IR is a instruction register. This R0 to Rn minus 1 are n number of general purpose register. MAR is memory address register. MDR is memory data register. Understood? We'll discuss this on the next slide. So how the typical operating steps, how it is going to operate. There has to be that steps need to be followed. Yes or no? If you do anything, we follow the steps particularly, right? So this also follows some steps. So program resides in the memory through input devices. First, you will save the program into the memory, right? Then PC is set, program counter is set to the point to the first instruction. Okay. So program counter is holding what? It's pointing to the first instruction. It will hold the memory address where our first instruction is stored. Okay. So if I say this is our memory, okay, and these are the different memory locations. Okay. So as I say, like you can say that 0x01, 0x02, 0x03. This also vary, means how much of data we are storing. Based on that also this will vary. So we will be discussing this in more detail further. So for simplicity, you understand like this. So program counter will point to the first instructions of our program. Okay, that if I stored it here, suppose my first instruction is add R0, R1. So this will be stored here. So the PC will be pointing to the first instruction, that is program counter. Okay. The contents of the program counter are transferred to MAR, means memory address register. So this will be transferred to memory address register because I want to access this particular instruction now. Yes or no? So what I need to send? The address I need to send. So this address will be held by MAR. MAR will send to here. Yes or no? So program counter will say what is where the first instruction is. This address will be sent to MAR. This address will be sent to MAR, and MAR will look into the memory. MAR will look into the memory. Yes or no? So the contents of PC are transferred to MAR. Okay. A read signal is sent to the memory because this read signals are the control signal. Okay, because there has to be the coordination. So the controller control unit will send a read signal that I need to read from the memory. So I need to read this from the memory now. So read signal will be sent. The first instruction is read out and loaded into MDR, memory data register. So I said our instructions can like a data or the instructions, information is nothing. So this will be now into what? MDR. This add R0, R1 will go into MDR, memory data register. Okay. The contents of MDR are transferred to IR, your instruction register, because that is the instruction. So the content will be passed to IR. Decode and execute the instructions. So we have fetched these instructions from the memory to the processor, and then our processor ALU will decode that and execute that instruction. Okay, decode and execute that instruction. Understood? So this was the memory, suppose, and here it is our processor. Okay, so what is happening? First, processor will tell which memory address. So the first, or before PC, program counter will tell to MAR which memory location. So this first memory location, yes or no? So then we'll send a read signal. Then this whatever is there at that memory location will be stored into what? MDR. Whatever is in the MDR will go into instruction register, and our ALU will perform decode and execute whatever is the written. Because our processor also will not understand this add R0, R1. It has to convert it into machine language which can be understood by our processor. Okay, so that there comes opcode. So that is the next level. Okay, so this will be sent and it will decode that and execute this particular instruction. So understood? So if we want to execute a particular instructions, this all steps has to be followed. Then only we can execute a one particular instruction. Clear? So typical operating steps. So continue. So get the operand from the ALU, operands for ALU. So we got that from the memory. Okay. So general purpose register will hold some or the memory. So address to MAR, read. So MDR will have that particular data to ALU. So that will pass to the ALU. So once you got all the data, because then it can operate on that particular data. Okay. Perform the operations in the ALU. So get that particular data from the memory and perform the operations. Store the result back either to the general purpose register or into the memory. Okay. Yes or no? That is what is written, what we have discussed already. Processor, memory. Yes or no? So once you got what steps we have followed previous slide that you need to follow to get the data. So once it is in the processor, okay, it will process that data and it will store that data. So either it can store into the general purpose register here itself, or it can store into the memory. So again, if you want to store it to the memory, again what will happen? Your MAR will decide what is the address you want to store, okay, and the result will be in the MDR, and MDR will send it back to your memory. Understood? So during the execution, PC is incremented to the next instruction, because now we have executed one instruction, yes or no, which is at 0x01, which was add R0, R1. So this got executed now, yes or no? Once it has got executed, your program counter should go to the next instruction. So that's why your PC program counter is holding the instruction address of the instructions to be executed. So it will increment. So it will go here at 0x02. So then next instruction will be taken. So all these steps will be followed for all the instructions. Understood? See, even if you are feeling like so much of things it has to be done, but you will know that this will be done in a very microseconds, where your processor is very fast to do this kind of operations. Okay. So are you understanding this? Just put in the chat box, you're getting or no. You can ask any question if you have. You can unmute yourself and ask, or you can ask in the chat box also. Okay. So what we have discussed is how the instructions are getting executed. Okay. Clear up to this, right? If you have any doubt, you can ask, please. Feel free to ask your doubt. You can ask in a chat box, or you can just unmute yourself and ask. So no doubt yet. 58 are there. Okay. So let's continue. So the next is interrupt. Okay, next is interrupt. Just now I said, see, when I started my class, I was presenting here, right? But suddenly someone requested to join. So that was an interrupt. So I stopped this presentation and I went to that particular window and I admitted that person. Yes or no? So that is an interrupt. Okay. Now, suppose you are attending your class right now, right? Now suddenly your mom called. So there was some emergency, your mom called. So you just went back and come back. So yes or no? So that is called as interrupt. So sometimes in our particular computer also there can be some interrupt come that requires the emergency attention. Okay. So that is we are saying as a interrupt. So see here, a normal execution of a program may be interrupted if some device requires urgent servicing. Okay, some devices require urgent servicing, so that can be interrupted. So understood? So I was, because your computer is performing many tasks at a time. Sometimes your main program is running, okay, and suddenly something is required, then it is coming as an interrupt. Understood? Now suppose you are working on a computer, okay, and you are running some particular program on it or some application on it, and suddenly what happen is your laptop, your battery is going to die. Okay, so your operating system or your processor will pop up a window that your battery is only 10%. Please put on the charger. Yes or no? So whatever previously was running will stop. Yes or no? Suppose you was playing a video, so it will stop that video and it will pop up that the battery is low. So that is an interrupt, because your device required urgent battery, charging. So that is an interrupt. So this kind of interrupts, like that is on one example. Okay. So interrupt is what? Normal execution program may be interrupted if some device requires urgent servicing. Okay. So to deal with this situation immediately, the normal execution of a current program must be interrupted. So if there is something urgent, then you have to stop the normal program and you have to go to that particular interrupted thing, and you need to do that, yes or no, and again you need to come back, So procedure of an interrupt operation. So basically how these interrupt operations will work. So the device rises an interrupt signal. Okay, so interrupt signal is coming first. The processor provides the requested service by executing an appropriate interrupt service routine. So see, every interrupt will have their interrupt service routine in a program manner. It will be written there. Okay, so that will be executed. The processor will automatically execute that if that particular interrupt is coming. Yes or no? So like battery was low, so processor know that what has to be displayed. So that is the interrupt service routine. So it is already written that if the battery is low, you have to display this, that battery is only 10%, please put on the charger. Yes or no? So that will be written. That is of appropriate thing that is already processor is knowing. So it will display that. Understood? So the processor provide the requested service by executing an appropriate interrupt service routine. So the state of the processor is first saved before servicing the interrupt. Okay, state of the processor is first saved, because see, once you are doing something, yes or no, was doing something, then you are going to do that other task, and again you have to come back. So after coming back, you don't want to start from the first, so you want to start from where you have left. Yes or no, from where you are left. So for that purpose, our processor also saves something, that I was here. So you need to remember, no, where I was previously. So take an example, you was reading a book, okay, and suddenly your mom called, so you went there. So but you are closing the book, then there is something you will keep into the book, yes or no, so that you will remember on which page you was. Understood or no? So that's why the same way our processor also need to remember where I was. So because processor is doing that interrupted task first, then it is coming back to the previous one, so it has to know that where I was, so that it is gonna save that thing. So normally the content of program counter, general register, and some of the control information is stored into the memory. Because processor need to know where he was, what he was doing previously. So if the interrupt is coming, interrupt service routine is going to perform the task, and for that first processor need to store some information about the previous execution. So normally it is storing your content of program counter. So what program counter is holding? The next instruction to be executed, right? So that it will be holding general registers, the content of general registers, because if that general registers are used by that interrupt service routine, so you know that the content will overwrite, yes or no? So if that should not get affected, what you need to store the previous values. Okay, so store that some control information also. When the interrupt service routine is complete, the state of the processor is restored so that the interrupted program may continue. Yes or no? So understood? So you was doing this particular task, okay, but suddenly at this particular point, interrupt has came. Okay, so what you need to do? You need to go there, perform this particular interrupt service routine, okay, and then again come back where from your left. Understood? So that is what is an interrupt. Okay, so first interrupt will be raised, okay, then the processor provides the interrupt service routine so appropriately. So this is already written. Okay, so it will, to execute this, before that what will happen in this period is this will store this where the processor was in the memory. It will store, I was here, the content of some register was this and all, it will be stored here because this may use the processor again. Okay. This may use this your R0 and all. So that should not be overwritten. So once it is done, it is coming back, okay, and he is already knowing where it was. So again from here it will start executing. Understood? So that is basically an interrupt. So what are the different type of interrupts we have? So interrupts can be like a program interrupt, timer interrupt, IO interrupt, or hardware failure. So there can be different kind of interrupts will be there. Okay. So what is program interrupt? So generated by some condition that occurs as a result of an instruction execution, such as arithmetic overflow. Like in a program you have something wrong. So that will say that this is wrong. Okay. So like arithmetic overflow means you are adding to R0 and R1, okay, and you are saying store that into R0. But if the numbers are big, already 8-bit plus 8-bit, if you are doing the multiplication, the result will be more than 8-bit, yes or no? So that you cannot store it in a single register R0 if the R0 can store only 8 bits. So that is overflow is happening, or the addition result, if it is increasing, you are getting a carry there. So overflow is happening. So you need to write the instruction in that such a particular way, even though there is an overflow, it should run properly. Yes or no? Or the division by 0, which is not possible, the result will be infinity. Yes or no? So if you are writing this, your program will say there is an error. Yes or no? So that interrupt will become. Then attempt to execute an illegal machine instructions, so which is not already defined, you are writing that, so that is an interrupt. It will display that no, it is not a right instruction. Okay. Or reference outside a user's allowed memory space. So you have a memory, yes or no, in your computer, but in some memory your OS is already stored, operating system is stored, yes or no. If you are writing a program and accessing that particular memory location, then and if you damage something at that particular location, then your OS will just collapse, yes or no. So the some memory is particularly not accessible by the user, so you cannot read or write in that particular memory location, because so if you are trying to do that, again it will show some interrupt that no, this cannot be done, okay, this is not allowed, like that. Then you have a timer interrupts. So after some time, again, like after a particular time, it will pop up. Yeah, this is need to be required, like that something. Okay. So generated by the timer within the processor. In the processor, we have the timer. Okay. This allows the operating system to perform certain functions on regular basis. Certain functions on regular basis. So like update or something. So on the regular basis, it will show, yeah, there is update present. Yes or no? Or you, so that is what we are saying is timer interrupt. So that will be defined previously. Then next is the IO interrupts. Okay. So IO interrupts are like generated by the IO controllers, input output controllers, to signal normal completion of an operation or to signal variety of error conditions. Okay. So if you are connecting a pen drive or something, like that is a output device, yes or no? So if it is having any problem, it will just pop up that if it is having a problem, or if the installation is done properly, it will pop up that it is okay, now it is ready to use. Okay. Then hardware failure, so generated by the failures such as power failure or memory parity error. Okay. So that's I said, like if the battery is low, so that is will be coming. If power failure has happened, that is a hardware interrupt, so it will stop, just turn off your computer. So that are the form of different interrupts what we have. Okay. I guess understanding. Okay. So how are the functional units are connected? Now all the functional units are there, we have seen. Now how they are connected? Yes or no? Because there has to be some connection between that control unit, so that you are transmitting from data from memory to your processor, from processor to memory. Yes or no? So they are different. Input device is different. Your memory is different. We have drawn, right? So how they are communicating? So for a computer to achieve its operations, the functional unit need to communicate with each other. Okay. So because you are transmitting data from memory to processor, processor to memory, input device, output device, yes or no? So they has to be communicate. So in order to communicate, they need to be connected. Okay. So the functional unit may be connected by a group of parallel wires. By a group of parallel wires. The group of parallel wire is called as bus. Group of parallel wires like this. Okay. A group of parallel wires. So this together is a bus. We are calling as a bus, single. Each wire in the bus can transfer 1 bit of information. As we said, computers will understand zeros and ones, so it will one wire will transmit only 1 bit of information at a time. Okay, so the number of parallel wires in the bus is equal to the word length of the computer. So if it is having 8 wires in it, so the word length will be 8 bit. Word length will be 8 bit. Understood? If it is 16, then it is 16 bit. Okay. So how they are connected? They are connected through a bus. Okay. Here you can see I have drawn this like as a bus. Okay. So this is a bus. They are connected through a bus. So a group of line that serves a connecting path for several devices is called a bus. Okay. In addition to the lines that carry the data, the bus must have the lines for address and control purposes. Address and control purpose. So this bus will have some data lines, address line, and control line also. Okay, because some lines will be used to indicate the address, some lines will be used to take the data, and some lines will be used to control signals. Because see, which control signal we have sent previously, like read signal. Yes or no? So for all this purpose, some few lines will be used for that, few lines will be used for that, like this. Understood? So bus is nothing but parallel wires we have. Okay, few will be for address lines, few are called as control lines, few are called as data lines. Understood? See, here we are not going too much detail because you are understanding like the basics you need to understand at this level. Okay, so the simplest way of interconnect functional unit is the use of single bus as shown in below. So here it is a single bus is shown. Okay, so on this single bus everyone is connected. So now you can check the arrows. Yes or no? Input. So it is taking only the input. It is reading only. It is not writing. So the arrow is only in one direction. Okay. Output. It is only in one direction. In memory, you have to do both operation. You have to read from the memory and you need to write it onto the memory. So both direction. Okay. A processor also. Processor is taking the memory, reading, and also giving back the output. So both the direction. Understood? The directions are important. Okay. So that is the bus structure. So how they are connected, the functional unit through a bus. Understood? So what are the drawback of this bus structure? So if you have a single bus only, what is the drawback? So the devices connected to a bus vary widely in their speed of operation. Okay. Some devices are slow, some devices are fast. Okay. So some devices are relatively slow, such as printer and keyboard. So they are little slower. If you want to take a print, what is happening? You will send all bit, whatever the data is there, it will get converted into bits, and that will be sent to a printer. Again, the printer will convert, and whatever the text was there, it will print that. Yes or no? So that are the slower one, and some are the faster, like optical disc. If you are connecting optical disc to your computer, they will be faster. So you are connected. So if you know, like recently you have the different pen drives with of different speed you will get. Okay, so some will be of version 2, version 3. So that speed, it depends on speed you are saying. Okay, so memory and processor units operate are the fastest parts of the computer. Memory and processor units operate are the faster parts of the computer. Okay, because your processor is very faster and the memory access, so that are very faster. Now if you remember, if you know, like we have the recently we are in the computers, we are having now SSDs, solid state drives, so they are more faster than what the previously you were having a hard drive on it, or so SSDs are a little more faster. Okay, so and the memory and processor units are the faster, what we are saying here. The efficient transfer mechanism does is needed to cope up with this particular problem, because some of the devices are slow, some of the devices are faster. So how your computer will understand the transmission speed? Okay, so see, like I am speaking, so if I continue, I start speaking very faster, you will not understand what I am speaking, yes or no? And if I'm speaking very slow, you will get bored, yes or no? Why slow? So the same way your computer will, like, how much faster data is coming, it may not able to receive that data that faster, and somewhat slower also. So they have to come up with some solution so that it can easily communicate the things. Okay, even with the slow devices or even with the fast devices. Okay, so a common approach is to include a buffer register, with the devices to hold the information during the transfers. So buffer register will hold that information, okay, and it will transfer that information as the required speed is. Okay, so and another approach is to two bus, either with the buffer register or there is another operand which is two bus structure. Here we are seeing single bus, so there is two bus structure and additional transfer mechanism. Two bus structure and additional transfer mechanism has to be there. So what are the two buses? One is a high performance bus, one is a low performance bus. Okay, and a bridge for transferring the data between the two buses. Okay, so if you are receiving from a high device, okay, but your computer is can receive only with a low performance. Okay, so then there is a bridge which will convert that high performance to a low, and then it will be accessed. Okay, so that is two bus structure. Okay. So I think here, let's stop here for today. Just a minute. So, so what all we have discussed is today is basic operational concept. So how the operations takes place in your computer, how the instructions are gonna executed. Okay, so what are the typical form of instructions we have discussed? Okay, then separate memory instruction, memory access instructions, and ALU operations. Okay, how to read from a memory, that also we have discussed. Okay, who will get overwritten, that we all have discussed. Then how the connections between the processor and memory takes place, how they are connected, so that we are discussed connection. So then we are discussed about the typical operating steps, so that steps has to be followed if one particular instructions need to be executed in by your computer, okay, or the processor. Then that we have discussed. Then we have talked about what are interrupts. Okay, what are interrupts, that we have talked. What are the different classes of interrupts, that we have talked. Then we have talked how the functional unit are actually connected. So they are connected through a bus. Okay, and if we are connected through a single bus, then what are the drawbacks of connecting this particular through a single bus? That is also thing. So for this buffer register example I can give is your printer. Okay, so when you send the data from this to the printer will be slower, but your computer is fast, so it can send the data at a one time, so it will send it to the buffer. So once you give a print, okay, you don't need to look until the print come. You can use your computer to do some other things also, yes or no? Because that one thing is already done, the message is sent to the printer, so through the buffer. So then it will take some time to print. A printer is slower then, but your computer work is done. Now you can use the computer until the print come for the different purpose. Okay, so that is the thing. So I think let's stop for today. So you are clear with this? I didn't ask for your USNs, Prajwal and Rakesh. Prajwal and Rakesh, are you there or you are left? Okay, hope you have understood. Yes, so many are Ankita, Richa, Saundarya, Jyoti, Yash, Nikhil, all are replying. Yes, you understood. Okay, thank you. So that's for today. I'll just stop the recording and then